Yo, welcome back to the series known as the Knowledge Dump, where I'm sharing off all the information in my brain and I'm giving it to you. What I want to talk about today is about freelancing. Now, it's kind of interesting because that's currently what I'm doing. And so I'm going to speak from my previous experiences as being a freelancer, and then also what I'm going to try to do now to implement a really good strategy so I can build my business here in Miami. I don't know anyone really down here, so I have no book of business down here, so I'm kind of starting off fresh. So let's go to my previous experience. Now, my type of freelancing is web development and multimedia. Now, what does that mean? That means I can do video production, I can do photography production, I can do sound design, and I can do video editing and music editing. And so, photography, you gotta, of course, have a really good camera. There's a few major brands. There's Nikon, there's Sony, there's Canon. There's some other brands. I don't really care about those other ones. Those are really the three ones. Um, it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing photos, I really like Canons because they usually pick up a lot of colors. Some people would argue that Nikons are better, and to each his own, man. It really does depend on the type of camera you get and then the lens you get. Just do your homework on both. For lenses, I think right now I'm using a 24 to 55 or 60 millimeter, which allows me to like zoom in and zoom out. And then I also have a 50 millimeter at home. I do want to get, I think, a 15 to 70 millimeter. And then I do want to get like a telescopic one. I don't know. I have a lot of things I want to get. And when you get into being in this photography, videography, it can cost a lot of money. The initial equipment that you need up front can cost a lot of money. And so when I first did it, I bought the camera that I had out with cash. I of course, saved up from the jobs I was working at that time and saved part of my paychecks, and then of course eventually got the camera. And the first way I got gigs, I was in college and I had a class down this one hallway, and as I was walking down this hallway, I saw this promoter. He was putting up posters for a show that was going to be at the Skyway Theater, and I asked him more about the show. And then I was like, hey, well, I just got this camera. Do you think I can come by and shoot photos free of charge? When you get into freelance, your first few projects might have to be free because you don't have a portfolio. You don't have experience like that yet. So you probably will have to do some free gigs. Now, for me, it's technically free work. But if you think about it, I get to go to concerts for free. Most people are paying for this and they still go there and take pictures. But for me, I was going there for free and taking pictures, but I was sending them to the promoter at the end of the night. And the photos I was taking were really cool. I met some really cool artists. And then eventually we started working out a little bit of money that I can get paid. I wasn't getting paid a lot, but instead of now coming for free, I was starting to get paid a little bit. And I was getting my parking reimbursed, and it was nice. It was fun. Now, at that time, I also had a friend who also bought a camera, same camera as me at that time. And I remember bringing him to some of those shows, and he was like, man, this is dope as shit. Now, for me, I wish I would have focused more of my time on it like he did, because he turned it more into a business than I did. He started getting gigs for doing portraits. This could be for, high schoolers who are graduating. This could be for college students that are just starting or getting into college. This could be people who just need it for corporate reasons. It could be people who need it for personal reasons. And then he started getting into weddings. And that was our big money maker because I ended up actually doing a couple of those gigs with him. And those were really fun. And every now and then we still do those gigs. And we've traveled actually a bit with those. But I digress. When it comes down to me, though, my experience was more of the websites. I was trying to do more of the website stuff. So that's where my freelancing focus was on. And the way that I went about business And this is before COVID. So, of course, it was easy to go to networking events. And it was easy to shake hands with people. I had my business card. I told people what I did. I had my website up, and I would try to, of course, convince them to use my services. Some people did. And when I did my consultation with them to figure out what kind of project they had, and then figured out their budget. I remember getting paid from people. It was super nice. And then, of course, once you get paid, they have a reason to be on your ass every single day. And so you have to make sure you set these standards up front of what it is that they should be getting for expectations. That's one thing that I really learned. Because when you don't, then yes, they will bug you every single day until you give them the product that they ask for. And so the expectations that you need to set is the timing. So when they should be getting certain things. Review. So this is the time that they should be reviewing these things. And then 3, rescissions, or, doing things that need to be redone, setting the time frame of when that should be done and when they should be sending those back to you so you can start getting those done, and then setting the expectations of when those should now be redone after you've restarted on them. And so I didn't set those up front sometimes, and I've learned over the years that you have to do that. And then other than that, I would say just make sure you have things in writing. My first couple of websites, I just did it verbally, and we came with verbal agreements, and then it came to arguments a little bit later, because it's like, well, I thought you were also going to give me this and this, and it's like, no, man, I said it was just this. And then it'd be like, well, where's that in writing? Where's the proof? And it's like, dang, you got me. So make sure that you get things in writing. Whenever I do my consultations, I have a template where I type down everything that we talked about. I type everything that they're expecting. I'm typing the references that they have for the projects, because most of the time with websites, they usually see another website that they like. And so what do you want your website to also have that's similar? I'd write that down. And then, of course, when I break down my fee structure and what I'm working on, I make sure that's in writing, and I send that to them in an email with the invoice underneath it saying how much it all is. Now, when it comes down to collecting money, it's really up to you. I would say try to collect at least 80 to, if not 100% up front, but I know sometimes people can be a little skeptical. So hey, let's put a deposit down and let's make milestones. When I deliver this part and I'm right before I get started on the next part, I want the next set of payments. And you do that until the whole project is complete. Or just tell them I need all this up front, and if I can't deliver on this, then I'll refund you, whatever I can't get done. And you have that invoice that breaks down what it is that you are doing, and so then you can have a checklist saying, hey, we did this, did this, did this. We didn't get to do this, so I am going to refund you on that based off this. So I would say have your services really down to a detailed T of what it is that you're going to be charging. If you are going to do photography and videography, make sure that you're also setting the expectation of who's going to be doing the editing. Sometimes people just want photos and they just want you to send it to them and they'll do the editing on their own. Sometimes they want you to do the editing. So you got to set the expectation on how much time it takes to do the editing, especially for videography. That can take a little bit longer. Not only are you chopping up the video, you're trying to get that nice, sweet color grading to make it look super nice. And so, yeah. I would say the other thing with freelancing is that most of the time you should have your social medias in order. You should have a website in order so that when people do come to your business, whether it be to you in your face or you online, there's a presence and there's a way to actually contact you afterwards. Share people with your business card. Share to people with your business cards. Why can't I get words right? Like I said, it's 5:30 in the morning and my brain don't work. I digress. When people come up to you, make sure that you have a way for them to contact you. Make sure you have a system that can onboard people once they get started. especially if you can automate that. I like to use a tool called Zapier. So if I sit there and I get a new client and they sign on, I have a sequence inside of Zapier that will shoot out certain types of information to people, whether it be email updates or it could be asking them for certain things. When it comes down to websites, it's can be a huge project, and I've had projects where it's like, I want you to start building the website and put random photos as placeholders, and then we will figure out the photos and stuff later on, and we will send that to you. And that could be part of your Zapier automation, where it's like, all right, well, we know that we need these photos by this time in the project, so let me go ahead and just automate that up front, where I can just go ahead and have something sent to them where we can try to retrieve that later. And then other than that, I would say just keep everything as organized as you possibly can. Get a online cloud, whether it be Google Drive. That's what I have. I'm forgetting the other competitors other than Dropbox. I'm sure there's a lot of other ones now that you can really use. I know that there's one that my buddy has that's meant just for videographers because of how big those files are. And then it has like expiration links, or, you know, I'll let you do your research on these different services, man. I don't know what these services offer. Just do your homework on how you go about exchanging the content that you said you're going to provide to your clients. Understand how you're going to give that to them. When it comes down to a website, you may have to onboard them to the CRM that you're using. A lot of the websites that I use WordPress. And so I'm onboarding people usually on how to use WordPress, how to upload their own blog posts. For some people, I will actually tell them how to edit the website on their own later on if they want to. Like, I have done that. And then other than that, I'm just trying to think of how else to go about business. For me, now that I'm in Miami, how I plan on building my business is I just finished building my website, so I'm about to get ready to launch that in a couple days. I'm going to focus on doing tutorials on Twitter and Instagram and partially YouTube, so that if anyone has any questions or if they see my work and they also want to work with me, that's going to be one way of getting leads. I then plan on going to a lot of businesses just face to face. I've already done this a couple times where I've made presentations. I will literally go to a business and I will let them know, hey, this is what you're failing at and this is what I can do to improve to get you better results. Right now I have a gym that I'm trying to do this with, and they understand the value of my business and what I can provide, but I just haven't closed on it. And so when you do get into this, you do have to realize that you have to constantly be in contact with people, even after you do business with them. I have people that I did websites for years ago that I stay in contact with because, one, I need to make sure that their websites are still updated, and B, I just like to have those businesses just in case they have referrals. And that's kind of how I built my business in Minnesota, is I had it to a point where I was getting referral business. The other thing too is here in Miami, like I said, going up to the businesses and having the presentations and everything ready. I'm also planning on doing some free work for people, because once again, when you do free work for people, it shows them, A, that you're serious about wanting to work with them, and then B, once you have those projects done, I can put those on my portfolio online, and then I can show other businesses what I'm capable of doing, and I don't have to necessarily sell myself as much. I can just tell them to go to my previous work and see what I've done, and if they want something similar or something unique for them, they can go about it after seeing what I've done. So that kind of gives everything about freelancing for now. If you do want to use my services, I'm sure there's going to be something around somewhere where you can figure out how to work with me. But for now, I'm just on some solo dolo shit, trying to build that portfolio. And then other than that, we'll be off to the races, and we'll see what happens in some time. So good luck to you. Good luck to me. Peace.